Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. The Hollywood Reporter asked a bunch of comedians the funniest mean thing ever said about them. Bill Burr said, "You look like Jim Carrey in The Mask." Gabe Iglesias said, "Just like Enrique Iglesias if he got stung by a bee." Joel Kim Booster went with that, "I sound like a young Donald Trump." I don't know about that one. Kimmel, "The first time I met Sarah Silverman was at the Friars Club roast of Hugh Hefner in 2001. She said, 'Jimmy Kimmel, everyone. He's fat and has no charisma. Watch your back, Danny Aiello.' I exacted my revenge by dating her for 8 years. Bert Kreischer, "At my fattest, someone said I looked like the Octomom had transitioned." Nick Kroll, "My late grandmother saw me in a new sweater at Thanksgiving, lightly touched my stomach and said, 'Well, Nick, you're looking very prosperous.' Joe Coy, "I don't know. I stay in a positive lane. Don't pay attention to mean or negative things being said about me or anyone." Joe Coy, "Way to go along with the bit, buddy. Come on, man. After the shilling for the casino last week and now this? Come on. That's what the bit is." Hassan Minhaj, "People on Twitter say I look like a raccoon on Adderall." See, Hassan gets it. "Someone called me a cute mosquito, and I'm not going to lie, I've never heard a more hilarious description of what I look like." Rami Youssef said, "Somebody said I was great representation for people who make horrible decisions." And my favorite, "Please don't destroy." Those are the guys that do the pre-recorded stuff on Saturday Night Live. They went with Dave, Cyrus, and Mike Lawrence called us the Lonelier Island and Toddlers in the Hall. Fantastic. Joe Rogan said that celebrities who start podcasts can't keep up, they bail, like the Meghan Markles. He said this on his Spotify podcast. Neil Brennan was there with him. Rogan said listeners get a sense of what a person is like after a while, and added, "So why a lot of these celebrities that start these things, they can't keep up, they bail, like the Meghan Markles and I don't know what she's doing now, but Prince Harry was doing one for a while, Bruce Springsteen, and Obama was doing one for a while. Terrible." Rogan described the former president's podcast, said, "You just can't keep faking it. It's too hard." More from that cover story in the Hollywood Reporter about Trevor Noah. They wrote, "Noah's incarnation of The Daily Show premiered September 28th, 2015. Kevin Hart was the first guest." Trevor said, "Nobody wanted to touch me with a 10-foot pole, but Kevin was like, 'I love comedians. Let's do this.' And I'm eternally grateful to him for that." Booking got considerably easier over time, and then as the country became more polarized, hard again. Trevor says he'll run into celebrities at award show and they'll tell him how much they love the show and he'll say, "You should come on." They're like, "No." Some will say, "I don't do politics." And I'm like, "Well, it doesn't have to be politics." Or they'll say, "I'm afraid I'll come off as dumb. I don't know anything about what's happening in Iran." And I'm like, "Doesn't have to be about that." I get it, though. In a weird way, the show sort of became a victim of its own success and people are terrified of everything right now. Trevor looked back on the early days of the show when the series was, quote, hemorrhaging viewers without Jon Stewart in the chair. Trevor said, "The first iteration for me was just getting it to a place where people didn't think the network was a group of idiots for hiring me. Then came Donald Trump. Everything up until election night was Rocky in a training montage. Then election night 2016 was us stepping in the ring with Apollo Creed. By 2018, the show was in the Best Variety Series Emmy race." The showrunner over there says, "Once the comments went from 'The Daily Show sucks' to 'The Daily Show's overrated,' I knew we were back." Trevor settled into a routine himself. He would tape the show Monday through Thursday, then head out on the road doing stand-up Fridays and Saturdays, fly home on Sunday and do it again. Derek Van Pelt is one of Trevor Noah's managers and said, "You'd think doing a daily show, you'd want the weekends off, but doing stand-up comedy in theaters gave him the energy." Trevor started selling out 15,000-seat venues throughout the world, and his stand-up was rarely political because I don't think people should exist constantly in politics. I don't think it's healthy. Interesting note here about doing the show during the pandemic. Sounds like post-pandemic, Trevor wasn't having as much fun. Here's his quote. "My previous assistant was always running down the hallways trying to find me because I was always in other people's offices chatting and laughing and coming up with ideas, and we had these big meetings and everybody was there and I loved it. Now everybody in the building has masks and we're limited in how many people can be there at any given time and where you can and can't be. And because I'm the host, I'm in this bubble. They're all like, 'He can't get COVID.' And so what was already an isolated experience was exasperated, and all these things just add up." The Star Tribune caught a show with Ron White and Kathleen Madigan. From Ron White's set, the crowd roared when he talked about how he once stepped into a discarded but full baby diaper. After a nasty joke about Bill Cosby, you could hear some gasp in the audience, but that didn't stop Ron White from practically taking a bow. For the most part, his performance felt like a nostalgia act, and with good reason. Ron White is retiring from touring at the end of the year, and we're at Thanksgiving now, so there's not much left. Ron said, "About time to put it down. You've made it quite a ride." Sounds like Kathleen Madigan crushed it. She was lively even as she appeared to be battling a cold. She talked about how she had spent the afternoon at the casino by taking a walk, during which she spotted a pair of bald eagles. She keeps it relatable. She shops at Lowe's Home Improvement, likes ice fishing, eats at Taco Bell, and is addicted to the Weather Channel. She made fun of a wine snob friend who tried to order something fancy at a dive bar in Tennessee. Did some political stuff, making fun of Alabama's Governor Kay Ivey and Iowa's Senator Chuck Grassley. She volunteered to help take care of President Biden by standing just off stage when he speaks, tossing tennis balls at him whenever he starts to ramble. At the end of her 70-minute show, it's kind of long, in a good way, she took a moment to salute Minnesota's Louis Anderson, who died in January. Acknowledging that one of Louis' sisters was in the audience, Kathleen said, "He was so Midwest. I get Midwest." Eric Deegan's writing for NPR under the headline, "I critique Dave Chappelle and his fans question my blackness." And quoting here, Eric Deegan said, "It may have been the gif of a chattering raccoon or the cropped photo of me standing with a student teacher after speaking at a high school claiming I'd profess my love for the ugliest white woman I could find, or the message insisting I have to keep my white wife happy, though my marriage ended in 2015. These messages delivered to my virtual doorstop via Twitter after I dared to write a column criticizing Dave Chappelle's recent SNL monologue were part of a punishing deluge of responses on social media aimed at attacking me as a black man. According to these diatribes, I was a traitor to my race, a biscuit-eating sellout, a coonish Uncle Tom/Sambo who allowed his Jewish paymasters to dictate his writing, all for having the gall to say I was disappointed in Dave Chappelle's latest performance." Skipping ahead in Eric Deegan's piece for NPR, he wrote, "I didn't call him an anti-Semite. I didn't even say he wasn't funny. I did fault him for obscuring an issue which should be cut and dried, and for that, one fan insisted I was spewing venom, another accused me of attacking another black person, a third insisted I had black skin and a white mind. Needless to say, I disagree. Black folks, we know this. When bigotry rears its ugly visage, the last thing we need in the public space is ambiguity and both-siderism. When police brutality against black people rises, we must state unequivocally that Black Lives Matter, and when anti-Semitism emerges, even from some of the best-known black performers in music and sports, we should denounce it without reservation. As I pointed out in my column last year about Dave Chappelle, just because some members of a group use their privilege in terrible ways, that's not a green light to visit unfair prejudices on everybody in that group." San Francisco Sketchfest announced a couple more things, including a reunion of the cast of Perfect Strangers, that sitcom from the 80s, 90s. Some more comics scheduled to appear. David Cross, nice. Eugene Merman, Maria Bamford, David Allen Greer, Cheech Marin, Tommy Chong. Bruce Campbell will be roasted. By the way, I met Bruce Campbell once. You think he's handsome in TV? Oh my God, in real life, super handsome. I felt like a troll. I've got a picture with him. I'm no Bruce Campbell, but I'm not a troll. But next to Bruce Campbell, I'm a troll. You know what I'm saying? Yes. There'll be a performance of ASCAP with several members of the original Upright Citizens Brigade, including Tim Meadows. That's cool. I'm on their website, and remember like 2 weeks ago, I was complaining about the New York Comedy Festival's website. This is the opposite. This one is fantastic. So since we're into the holiday here, let's just take a quick look at what's coming up in January. Friday, January 20th. I love the name of this show, Bernie Mac and Cheese. Now, to be clear, that is not a show by Bernie Mac. He passed away in 2008. That same night, Otsko and Friends. The friends include Guy Branum and Michael Ian Black. That's a great show. David Cross also that night. Ken Marino and David Wayne's Middle-Aged Dad Jam Session also that night. I'm not reading you everything here. We'll do that when we get a little closer. 10:30 p.m., the George Lucas Talk Show. Do you know about this thing? I love the George Lucas Talk Show. The George Lucas Talk Show is an improvised cult talk show in New York City hosted by comedian Connor Ratliff, who appears as George Lucas, yes, the George Lucas of Star Wars fame, interviewing real guests as themselves in a panel format. It's a lot of fun. It's ridiculous, and I enjoy ridiculous. Let's see. On the Saturday, Improv for Humans with Matt Besser. That's fantastic. I'm not going to read everything here. Off Book, the improvised musical. That's a podcast I really dig. I'd love to see that live. Let's see. Shazir Zamata, Viva Variety 25th Anniversary Tribute. Here's an all-women show called Resistance is Fertile. I love that title. Joel Kim Booster and friends. His friends include Atsuko Atsaka, Nori Reed, Jess Tom, Irene Too. That'll be a really strong show, very much so. Sunday, January 22nd, Todd Barry. A show called Talking Simpsons on Wednesday the 25th. Friday the 27th, The Endless Honeymoon Podcast with Moshe Kasher, Natasha Leggero, Reggie Watts. That's up against River Butcher's show. Maria Bamford plays at that exact same time at 7:30. That's going to be a tough one. Doug Benson's got the Benson Movie Interruption out there. That's at 10 o'clock that night. Again, when we're actually in the festival time, I will do this day by day. Ooh, here's a cool one. Saturday the 28th, Futurama versus COVID 3019. Looks like all the primary cast of Futurama are doing a panel. That's at 1 in the afternoon. I like this title, too. The 6-year anniversary of the 10-year anniversary of the Eugene Merman Comedy Festival. Jenna Friedman, Janine Garofalo, Bobcat, Eugene Merman, Sarah Vowell, Reggie Watts. Awesome. Here's a sneaky show, The Comedy Pack. Tony Hale, Tim Kazurinsky. Remember him from SNL in the 80s? Yeah. Wendy McClendon Covey, Oscar Nunez, the guy from The Office, Eugene Pack, Marilyn Rice Cub, remember her, Chloe on 24, George Wendt, remember him, Norm on Cheers. Janine Garofalo's got her own show. The Roast of Bruce Campbell stars Bruce Campbell, Dana Gould, David Allen Greer, and some others. That sounds like a good time. Wow, this festival's so good. And you know what? I'm only like halfway down. I'll do more of that on Friday. Why Friday, Johnny Mac? I already recorded the Thanksgiving episode. Guys, come on. So tomorrow, Friday, and the weekend, all normal episodes. Yes, I did record them early. And if something happens, I live at home and the MacBook lives with me, I can run downstairs and add something or do a bonus episode. So don't worry if Dave Chappelle and Jerry Seinfeld announce a joint tour where they're going to slap Chris Rock. I will do a bonus episode and tell you about it. You can follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts. There's an audio version on YouTube. Follow the show on Spotify for free. All right, have a happy Thanksgiving. There will be episodes all through the weekend, and meet you back here. Enjoy your day.